How's it, punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. Today we're going to be breaking down some of the recent Euro results. We're having a look back at the F1, some of the US Open Golf, some cricket, and a quick look at some tennis that's coming up. With me as always is Simon. Simon, it was a very entertaining weekend of sport. One of the best in memory, if I dare to say that. Lots going on over the weekekend.
It really was, sure. I mean, obviously, setting the stage kind of being the Euros with obviously games every day, and it was really, really entertaining. And then obviously with the US Open Golf and a bit of cricket going on with SA and West Indies and Grand Prix, it was really exciting from beginning to end. So, did you have a good one, Rob?
Yeah, I've been watching lots of the Euros. Pretty much just been glued in front of the TV, to be honest. It's been a nice change in that sense. I'm really enjoying the tournaments. I did mention in the last podcast, which for some reason we couldn't get up. But it's been a great Euro so far. And I think that's where we should jump straight into it. I mean, the biggest, I know it's a bit old news now, but England, I mean, how shit have they been looking? That game against Scotland, they're playing tonight, which we'll talk about in our video coming out later. But yeah, just not firing on any cylinders at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, in typical Barmy Army fashion, I mean, the English fans celebrated their 1-0 win over Croatia, which I thought was very pedestrian. Honestly, I didn't think that looked amazing at all. And then, all their...
But they had chances and they got the job done. You know,
They did, absolutely. They did, but they really looked lackluster against Scotland. And I must say, full credit to them because they did defend very, very well. I thought they actually played an excellent game against England. And England did manage to create quite a few chances. But you could see, I mean, with 10 minutes left of the match, I mean, the England fans were already booing them. They're obviously feeling very, very frustrated. And it might just be a repeat of what we see so often in international competition when it comes to England, where it's just they look pretty good on paper, but when it comes to playing the game on the field, they just lack a bit of ability there.
Yeah, well, the finishing touches and the midfield seems to be struggling as well. They're not really creating much for Harry Kane, who's looked very isolated, and he's taken a lot of criticism. But I mean, I've hardly seen the ball pass to him.
Right.
To be fair.
I don't think you can really blame him at this stage. And interesting enough, I see in the news this morning, actually, Manchester City of
100 million, eh?
Yeah, put together a bid for him. I see that that City are actually wanting to sell Sterling, which I think is quite interesting. They say Sterling, Silva, Mahrez, Laporta, and Jesus are kind of all on their list of potential players to leave the club. But Sterling surprised me quite a bit.
Not the best players in my opinion. And look, not bad players. I'm not gonna say that they're bad at all. But City is just on another level, and those players aren't on that level, in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Sterling, yeah, sure. You know, he has a few good games, but he's not quite.
He's not consistent. Yeah.
I mean, where do you fit him? If he goes to somewhere like Liverpool, go back to Liverpool, for example, is he even going to fit into that squad?
Yeah, with his tail between his legs.
Yeah, but you know, where's he going to play there? Probably going to be a bench warmer. So
that's the thing. It's you know, it's all very well playing for the top clubs, but then there's got to be a vacancy.
Yeah.
And when you've got players. You know, you've got so many good players warming the bench. It's very difficult to find your way into a good squad.
Yeah, and then jumping over to Italy. I mean, we both picked Italy in our kind of pre-Euro tournaments, like look ahead, and they've won their first 3 games, 3-0. I think all of them have been 3-0. I think that's a nice scoreline to back if you want to bet on Italy. But they've looked very impressive.
They've looked very, very good, and I think that 9-1 that we took was looking very good.
Sorry, it wasn't. It was the first 2 or 3-0. The last one was 1-0. Correction there.
Yes, yeah. That's right. Yeah, but still, I mean, having scored 7 goals and not conceding 1 in your group stage matches is pretty impressive. And they're obviously now the first team to have a guaranteed spot in the knockouts. So interesting to see how they look going forward.
Yeah, they've looked very good. I'm just hoping that they aren't peaking too early, and they also haven't faced too much opposition. The match against Wales was kind of marred by that red card. I'm not sure if you saw that incident. Bit of a 50-50 call there by the ref, but hey, I mean, what can you do? Shouldn't have gone in studs up like that. But so I'm looking forward to see what the Italians do when they come up against some proper sides. Sorry Wales, but you know. And our best bet came in, or my best bet at least last week came in, was Belgium to beat Denmark at those cracking odds of, I think it was over even money, and I think it drifted
Yeah.
out even more. So I'm glad that came in. Belgium also looking pretty good. A couple of hiccups. I don't want to read too much into that narrow win over Denmark, because I thought that Denmark were going to be kind of crushed and not playing well, but the opposite happened. They rallied, and
They did.
a very tough side to beat. They've also qualified now, so I think credit to Belgium for actually beating them there.
Yeah.
I
But I think what you want to really see as well, especially in its early stages, is teams actually coming from behind to win. I think it's very encouraging when you see teams do that, and that's what Belgium did manage against Denmark. So I think that's always good to see.
Yeah, and any other sides that have kind of stood out to you? There was that cracker of a match on the weekend, the Germany-Portugal. I actually
Yeah.
wanted to back Germany in play when they were 1-0 down at, I think, 4.5, which is the Hollywood bet odds were 3.5, which is 4.5.
Yeah, I mean,
But didn't get that bet on in the end, unfortunately. The odds just weren't good enough for me.
yeah, that was most certainly the most exciting game of the weekend. It was fantastic. Look, I think that scoreline slightly flattered Germany. I think that obviously Portugal scored first, and then kind of they just really lost it at the back. Don't get me wrong, those two, and I'm not saying
Two
that
own
because
goals.
I'm not saying that because of two own goals. I think that those goals were very much. I mean, that was because of the pressure Germany was putting on
Yes.
them. I can't really blame the Portugal defense.
You
or
can almost
the
say
players
they were
themselves.
going to be goals anyway.
They
If it
were,
wasn't own
yeah.
goals, there's a high chance that those were going to be,
Yeah,
tappings
but at the
on
same
other side.
time, they just don't look like the cohesive unit that they did in 2016. So, look, I think that Germany were a vast improvement on their performance. They put in a much better performance than they did against France in their first game. But at the same time, I think that scoreline did flatter Germany slightly. So I must say I'm not buying into the fact that Germany's odds have been cut dramatically in the outright
I
markets and
know.
so on. I think that we need to just hold our horses there a little bit.
What I found crazy, and I didn't actually realize this going into the tournament, that Germany's played their first three matches in the group. They've played at home. I mean,
Yeah, every
that's
time in Munich. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's really I don't know. I don't want to. It's a little unfair if you ask me. But wow. But anyway, they're facing Hungary, which we'll talk about in the next podcast. But yeah, I'm not buying into the German hype either. I think they're a lot better than I gave them credit for initially.
Sure.
Going forward, that is. Defensively,
Yeah.
I don't think they're very good.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so I'm interested to see how they're going to go moving forward.
absolutely. And so should we move on to a bit of reviewing a bit of golf?
Yes, let's jump to the US Open, where you had an absolute cracker of a bet with some amazing odds, which you popped me a message with, and wow, want to share with the listeners what odds you got?
Yeah, well, I had a bet on Louis Oosthuizen at 55 to 1, which is quite a cracking price. I think he was around 33 at a lot of the bookmakers sort of just before play on Thursday. But yeah, I mean, over the years, he's actually got the fourth best scoring average in the tournament of any current player in the US Open. So yeah, it was. I saw some good value there. But yeah, I just always love the US Open. It's notoriously tough, and it certainly was another stern test. I think winning on courses like Torrey Pines is as much about bogey avoidance as it is picking up birdies. Because
Not birdies.
because they're very hard to come by here. I mean, it's kind of sinking those 10-foot putts for par that kind of make the difference in the end, because you're not going to end up picking up too many shots, and it also makes this an interesting dynamic because some of the players are better suited to kind of scoring contests where the winning scores will be in the region of like 20 under, but that's not what the US Open's about. It requires the golfers to be really tough and just dig it in, which is why I really like watching it. But yeah, John Rahm was the overall winner. He kind of broke his major duck to win his first championship, which in itself I think was quite a great storyline actually, because last week he was actually forced to pull out of the Memorial Tournament with COVID, and he was actually 6 strokes ahead after 36 holes. So, I mean, it was pretty much a dead certainty he was going to win that. So for him to come back the following week and win his first major it's really, really great for him, and I imagine quite a huge relief. I actually took advantage of quite a nice promotion at MG Sports Betting for this tournament, which was you could back any first round leader and get a refund as a free bet up to R1,000 if your bet lost. So I actually I came very close with Brooks Koepka as well. He actually ended one stroke behind the leader. So I nearly I nearly landed 2 bets in this tournament. It would have been absolutely.
Just jumping back to that promotion. So back any first round leader, and if your bet loses, you get a refund. So it's basically a guaranteed refund.
Absolutely, a very, very cool promotion. It was only for the US Open, so this is not a standing promotion. Hopefully, MG Sports Betting will, if not every weekend, at least bring it back for every major. I think it's a really cool bet.
Really cool promotion, yeah.
So I've got, I placed a R200 bet on Brooks Koepka. Didn't win. He came very close, but now I'm sitting with a R200 free bet in my account, which I can use. Obviously, it does have wagering. It's got 3 times wagering, minimum odds of 1.5. But still, the fact that you get a full refund up to 1,000, I think it's really great. So
let's face it, your bet probably is going to lose. It's a first round leader lucky packet. So.
Right, absolutely. So I think it's a good one, and I really hope that actually MG Sports Betting keeps this promotion for, as I said, at least majors in the future.
Yeah, it sounds like an absolute crack in there. I saw some nice ones, or we spoke about some nice ones over on bet.co's, and then we saw that they actually weren't as nice as they looked, but I'm glad there are still some decent promotions out there. Then let's move over to, I think, the F1. I think is probably the next big story coming out of the weekend, and that's once again your speciality.
Yeah, well, it's Max Verstappen. He got his 3rd victory this season. It was at the Paul Ricard circuit in France. It's actually the first time that Red Bull have won 3 races in a row, that being since 2014 when they brought in the hybrid engines. But he actually had a really bad start. He started the race in pole position, so he won qualifying ahead of Hamilton. But he locked up in the very first lap and lost control, and he kind of made it back into the track and back into. It was actually did very, very well to only lose to Hamilton in the sense that Hamilton took over him, but he still managed to get back into second place. But he kept close behind. But in the end of the day, the big difference maker for Red Bull, which allowed them to win the race, was that they realized that they needed 2 pit stops because the tires were actually degrading very quickly. It was 36 degrees, so it was very, very hot, which obviously means that the tires wear out quickly. So Mercedes tried to push their first set of tires too far, and then eventually they realized, well, they're not going to actually finish the race anywhere if they don't make a second pit stop, and that's actually what caused them to lose because Red Bull listened to their racers, put them into pits into their first pit stop quite early, which then gave them enough time to actually take advantage of those fresh tires. So it was very good race management from Red Bull. But at one point, you could actually Valtteri Bottas, who's Hamilton's teammate from Mercedes. He was shouting over the team radio saying that he knew it was going to be a 2-stop race, and he was very pissed off that the team didn't bring him into the pits earlier, so you could obviously have more time on those fresh tires. So yeah, it's quite interesting because Mercedes I've found generally over the years have been better race management. Yeah. Than Red Bull, but Mercedes just seem to be making a lot of mistakes recently. So now they're actually, Verstappen is 8 points clear of Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship and 37 points ahead. Red Bull is 37 points ahead of Mercedes in the Constructors. So,
wow.
They're building up quite a lead now. I think, look, when it comes to the Constructors, it's generally because the Red Bull driver Perez is kind of outperformed Bottas, and I think the reason he's actually outperformed Bottas is not necessarily because he's a better driver, but it's because the team doesn't give him the advantages over his partner like Mercedes do with Hamilton. So Perez. They're always kind of giving advantages to Hamilton because he's
the big key.
He's their best. Yeah, he's their best chance always, and so I think Bottas really gets the rough end of the deal often. Whereas obviously Max Verstappen is the hero of Red Bull, but they don't kind of let him play second fiddle all the time necessarily. Whereas Bottas is so I think it's an interesting team dynamic there, which I think Mercedes need to think quite hard about if they're going to have a better chance of coming to the end.
Kind of common problem that we've seen over the years in F1. But I'm just looking at the odds now, and Verstappen is favourite at 1.81. for the
Yeah.
Drivers' Championship, and Hamilton's at 1.87.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Still early days, but
Yeah, early days.
it's certainly going to be a close race. There's no doubt about that.
Cool. Let's jump over to some cricket. South Africa versus West Indies. What's been happening that side of the world?
Yeah, well, there was actually South Africa actually managed to defeat West Indies quite comfortably in both the tests.
There was a hat trick, I think. Was that yesterday?
There was, yeah. It was it was actually really funny to watch. It was the most awkward celebration I've ever seen because Maharaj, after getting his hat trick, he kind of made a dive across the field, which turned out to be more like a belly flop because he didn't slide at all. He just kind of like landed on his stomach and then
stopped.
and then his teammates sort of rushed up to sort of high five him, and he was on the ground, so just kind of like piled on him. So it was actually really funny. It's worth having a look at that on YouTube if you didn't see it live. But yeah, I think I must say promising things from South Africa. I think the pressure of captaining the side off Quinton de Kock's shoulders. I think he's finally starting to bat like the way.
Yeah, he should be batting. Yeah, let loose, play his own game, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, he scored 141 not out in the first test, which South Africa didn't need to bat twice to win. They won by more than an innings. And then here, he scored 96 not out in the second. So, I won't say it's the beginning of a new chapter for the Proteas, but there's certainly signs of improvement against West Indies. And I'm really looking forward to the 5-match T20 series, which starts on Sunday. I think that is definitely the better format for the Windies.
That suits them much.
Yeah,
better.
look, I mean, they obviously don't have the days of the fast bowlers like Ambrose and brilliant batsmen like Brian Lawrence.
Yeah.
But they do still have that kind of in their DNA, and I think that they're always a fun team to watch playing T20. So I think it should be a good and a much closer series than this one.
All right, and then we have some tennis coming up that I think you're going to be very excited about. Wimbledon. What are your thoughts on that? Have you picked an outright winner? You have anything for the men or the ladies?
Yeah, sure. It's all just coming so thick and fast, I must say. The grass season got underway just over a week ago. So on the men's side, Matteo Berrettini and Ugo Humber, they won in London and in Halle, respectively. So that being London and Germany, which are the kind of two warm-up tournaments for Wimbledon. But a lot of the top seeds seem to skip those now. I mean, the Queen's Club tournament used to be very prestigious and would always have all the top seeds in it, but now it seems like a lot of the players, I think because the seasons are just that much longer, they actually skip those warm-ups. So not the most exciting tournaments, but always good to get an idea of just where the players are at. So we don't have much time for a full preview, but maybe I'll write something up for betting guide. But like Novak Djokovic, he's the tournament favorite. He's at around evens, and then Federer is no doubt starting to show his age. Nadal obviously not being that great on grass. So out of the top dogs, I think he's probably he's the rightful favorite there for sure. And then a lot of the market leaders like Medvedev and Tsitsipas are a bit sort of unproven on grass. So I'm a bit wary of making any outright predictions. But I would say, look, Matteo Berrettini's best service is definitely grass, and he's playing in very good form. So he's available at 13-1, and I think that looks like quite a juicy price actually. And,
sorry, just going back to Nadal, he pulled out of Wimbledon and the Olympic Games. So
yes, no, absolutely, he has, yeah. This is not a tournament which he kind of he sort of targets. Favors, of course, being more player and hard court. I mean, grass is probably his least favorite service of the three, but yeah, that is interesting. Another player who you might want to look at. I mean, maybe a bit of a nostalgic pick, but Andy Murray, you can't seem to avoid injury. He's actually said that this will be his last Wimbledon. So if you want to take a nostalgic bet, that you can get back him at 50-1, which I think actually looks a bit long, to be honest.
It's a lot better value than Kevin Anderson.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a shame. It's been a bit of a rough ride for him. He's kind of he tried to come back on numerous occasions and just can't play more than a couple matches without getting injured again. So, but hopefully maybe he can make a bit of a push for his last Wimbledon. It'll be good to see. Yeah,
and what about on the ladies' side? Is there anything? We've got Osaka who's also pulled out of Wimbledon for the ladies.
Sure.
Anything on that side?
To be honest, I haven't had enough time to actually have a proper look. I plan to do that in the next few days. A look at the outrights for the ladies. But yeah, look, I mean, it's again as it normally is in the ladies, quite wide open. There's lots of players who have ability on grass going all the way down to sort of the 50-1 shot. So that's something which you kind of I need to do a bit more research on to come up. But I can post something on Twitter or maybe on Betting Guide in the coming days.
Yeah, just looking at the outrights, you've got Bartley as favourite, closely followed by Serena Williams. Then yeah, that's it. I mean, I think everyone else after that is then up to double digits. So yeah. I mean, Muguruza maybe I'm looking at 10, maybe there I might have a stab or something like that. Halep I think is pretty short at 11.8.
Yeah, Halep is fantastic on grass. She has been she's been injured for a while now. She hasn't, I don't think, had enough preparation. So that's probably one I would avoid. She hasn't had the ideal sort of run up to this tournament. But yeah, it's the ladies is going to be a wide open draw. And as I said, I'll put something up in the next few days. My outright selections there.
Right, awesome. So that brings us to the end of today's podcast. We're going to be recording some more European previews, some more betting tips coming up, and that video will be out shortly as well. Some cracking games. So guys, go check that one out when we do publish it. And Simon, thanks for joining me. I think this is going to be our last podcast for the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. I'm going to be away for a while, and my laptop doesn't record, and I'm not going to have the sound recording equipment with me and all of that stuff. I don't even know if I have access to the YouTube channel on my laptop. So we're going to call this the end of the season, and we'll be back, I think, when the Premier League starts. We'll see if we can maybe squeeze in a couple more European previews if there's a final or something like that if we're really desperate. But I think the channel's going to be a bit quiet after, I think, Thursday or Friday when I plan to release the last video for a while. So yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to Simon and I. The season's been a good season, Simon. We've had some crackers, lots of ups and downs.
It has, absolutely. I said it's been a bit of a tough one from a betting perspective for me. It hasn't been very profitable at all. But I just weekends like we've just had now, just really kind of more of those. It's just fantastic to have so many exciting events going on across a number of different sports. And so hopefully we have one like we had last weekend again this weekend.
Yeah, hopefully we can just hope and get those bets down. And yeah, I'm not going to hit that cash out button, which is a mistake that I made recently. But yeah, okay, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.